think I'm gonna actually make a video. Hey guys, Joshua in the woods. You guys remember that? It's been a long time since I've said that. But I'm saying it, I'm making a video. Just got inspired. Haven't been on a hike in a good long while, but needed to get out. I looked at my YouTube studio. It's where all the old videos are housed. And I looked at when my first video was, and it was November 2015. So 10 and a half years ago. A couple of you who maybe saw that first video might be like, what? Am I that old? Yes, you are. Yeah, it's been a while. And reflecting on that time, like 2015, life is not the same. It's definitely different. You know, there's been radical change. Not just in the world, because we all know the world has radically changed. 2020 was a great shift. But just in personal life, you know, everything's different. Very different, you know. When I first started making videos, I had a lot of time on my hands. I had a job that didn't require a whole lot of me, you know. It's not that much responsibility. My children were living away. That afforded me even more time. And it's not like that anymore. Much more responsibility. Schedule is crammed. Life has just become, you know, middle-aged life, you know. It's good. Just the timing too, 2015, what was I, 35, 36, 35, 46 now. I've been doing a lot of reflecting on like the past lately because I have an old friend who contacted me from my teenage years, and I spent lots of solid time with him. And he's now connected me with a bunch of other people that I haven't even thought about for, you know, 25, 30 years. And just reflecting on like how I really kind of dipped out in my 20s, you know. I've reflected on it before, but in my 20s, I lived in a Hindu ashram, you know, temple. I did that for 10, 12 years. That took up when people talk about the early 2000s, you know, movies that came out, music artists, just a lot, like all the cultural things that happened in those, you know, 99 to 2010, I feel ignorant because I really was checked out, for better or for worse. And coming out of that, you know, it was a long ride. and just all the things, it's just interesting to reflect on all the things that led up to the current moment that makes us who we are, and how it seems like the Lord's hand is just directing, you know. When I was in the Hindu thing, I remember reading a biography of St. Francis. I was probably about 26, 27, and it opened me up to the fact that I didn't realize that Christianity had like a deep side to it, It had like a different side other than, fundamentalist kind of evangelicals and signs on the street corner kind of stuff. I didn't know that was out there. And that little, that reading of a couple books, I read Way of the Pilgrim at the time. It was like it's like a stone dropped into a crystal clear pool, lake. Just that little drop kind of rippled out. And it planted a seed, I guess is a good way to put it. To where when I was, 33, I ended up, leaving the Hindu thing and getting baptized in the Orthodox Church, which is, for a lot of people, I had lost the plot, But for me, it was just this incredible calling to Christ, which I had no idea what would happen, And, after that, I fell away from the church for a while, got in trouble and ruined my life in several different ways. And, but it was all, it was all what I needed, I look back on some early videos, it's like I had all this kind of, philosophy and kind of wisdom of the East in my head floating around. And, that can either like nurture somebody, it can, develop somebody hopefully towards humility. And that may have happened too with me, but I can also see that it developed pride, It's so easy, pride just creeps in so easily. Any little thing that you've got knowledge about, it's like something to boast about, And so I did plenty of boasting and, maybe outwardly it may have not showed, but certainly pride has always been, like most of us, something to deal with, But 2020 hit, and that's when I wasn't really making videos anymore, I think, at that point. 2020 hit, everything shut down. Everything shut down, and I remember my lady, she got me a book that was really popular at the time. It was by, got a nice little creek here. This is San Juan Creek. It's not flowing right now, and it's, bone dry, but this creek flows down into San Juan Capistrano, the town where, I grew up. But this creek was one of the first places, it was the first baptism in California that ever happened was right around here. When the Spanish came to California, they baptized the indigenous people from here. Pretty crazy to think about, right? Like the first baptism in California. All of church history for, thousands of years. And right here was the first place, at least in this general area, was the first baptism of California. Pretty cool. So 2020 hit, and she got me this book that was really popular at the time by Yuval Noah Harari. I'm sure some of you have heard of him. He's this like transhumanist kind of dude. I remember starting to read it, and I remember disagreeing with it to my core. You know, everybody was praising it, and it rubbed me so like the wrong way. And it was that point where I realized that I need to go back to the church. It had been years, you know, I had gotten back into Hinduism for a little bit, and I tried it again, but it just wasn't me anymore. And I remember that when everything shut down, the temple being closed, I was actually happy that it was closed. I didn't have to go anymore, and that was a tell for me that like, okay, this is not where I should be anymore. Anyway, so yeah, it just, I don't know. I am just saying all this to say that like life is just like it's got so many crazy twists and turns, and kind of reflecting back on 2015 and the starting of the YouTube channel, and pipe smoking, and that whole thing was such a cool thing to get into, and we had matches and Northwest Pipe Smoker and all these cool dudes. It was a good era. It was a good era. But life has changed. The benefit of not, I don't really smoke a pipe much. I'll have a cigar here and there, and I haven't gotten rid of anything. That's the cool thing, is that if you keep all your pipes and you keep all your tobaccos and stuff, you've got some really nice aged leaf sitting there. So I've got some great aged stuff. But I still have my Paul's pipes. I haven't gotten rid of anything. So, yeah, man, I'm going to go back this way, actually, because this is the more trafficked area. Just kind of keep flowing and maybe go down the creek a little bit. But yeah, I mean, life has its ups and downs and sideways turns. The last video I posted, which was a while ago, I don't remember when it was, I had somebody comment like, "You're not Hindu anymore," or something like, you're just totally lost." And it was just like such a strange comment. Like, you're right, I'm lost for sure. Like, by the grace of God, I'm walking upright for sure. But YouTube is interesting because you only see somebody on that video and you kind of assume like that's what that person is. And it doesn't take into account every other instance of somebody's life where the camera's not rolling. And that's where real life happens. But we kind of want people to just like stay the same. And that to me seems exactly what you don't want people to do, is stay the same. You want people to change, morph. Like, I've got, like I said, a lot of these people contacting me from a long time ago, and not these particular as of late, but I've seen people that like almost like look the same. It's like they're stuck in their high school era. It's like, don't you want to? And that's all good, whatever. I no judgment, but life is change. That's the only constant, is change. And so, yes, I've changed. I've been in and out of Hinduism, but I'm, solidly at the feet of the Lord now, and I'm in a good space. I'm in a good space, and so no shame. But I suppose people want something constant. They want something unchanging. And the only thing, the only place that you'll find that is God. It's the only unchanging thing, you know, the thing that is constant. Everything else is fleeting and flickering, you know. Anyway, so I'll cut this off, and sorry if this may be windy. I'm still, you know, there's some other microphones that I may kind of check out. They got those little fur ball things. But I always kind of wonder what to do with this channel because, you know, again, it started in a particular way and I have changed, but, you know, I read a lot. I've thought about doing some, you know, just some walk through some books and, you know, things like that, more subdued, slower, you know. I can't always get out into nature anymore. You know, but so I've become, you know, more of a homebody, but you know, there's things that we could talk about. So I don't know if I'll see what I do with this channel. I have thought, well, maybe I should just start something different because it's not really Joshua in the woods anymore. A lot of times it's Joshua in his room, or Joshua at home, or Joshua in his backyard. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We'll see. But this will be fun to post, you know. I see some old faces in the comment section, you know. But yeah. Yeah, it's okay to change, you know. It's okay to change. And hopefully the Lord is changing all of us, you know, into the creatures he would like. All right, peace.